Really long sorry. Had to get it out. I, male 52, lost first wife 10 years ago. At the time 2 daughters now 21 and 24. Life went on after about 3 years. I met current wife, 38. Met innocently enough. Basically kept bumping into her at various places around town. Never really talked. Sometimes made eye contact. We would point at each other at a distance and just smile. Then one day, getting my car worked on, she walked into the waiting room, while hers was worked on also. So we finally had a long conversation. We went across the street to get real coffee, as service centers was bad. We talked about an hour, then I was paged mine was done. I asked if she would like to do lunch one day to continue talking. We exchanged numbers and a day to meet up. We dated 2 years, then married. She has 2 boys now 10 and 14. They moved into my house, been living with her parents for 3 years. My girls loved her, not as a stepmom but as a big sister. Although having another adult in the house with 2 teenage girls was a blessing. Life is grand. I love those boys as if were my own. I want to adopt them when they can make a decision on their own. The little one calls me Dad. The oldest, it was awkward. I told him to call me what he felt comfortable, my first name. The girls called her by her name. Wife is Sam. We decided until kids were adjusted. Now she doesn't want to work but does volunteer at school lunch and other things. Daughter 1 goes off to college, is now graduated. The younger daughter grad this past morning. We are moving the rest of her things this weekend. I was told her ex abandoned him about the time baby number 2 came along and has been no contact since. Her mom is very nice but holds me at arm's length. He is an alpha dog. I don't think he wanted anyone else taking care of his daughter only child, and grandkids. He would berate me because I was too old, not much younger than them. This would be any time I was around them. I am non-confrontational, so I told wife I would just stay away from them. I did encourage her to continue relationship, as they only live a couple blocks away. February this year her ex reappears, wants to be in their lives. He is sketchy at best. I cannot refuse this. He starts coming around often. I set a boundary that he comes on weekends so as not to interfere with school and we can control his visitation somewhat. He comes most weekends, but really spends little time alone with the kids as we try to give him space. I ask wife if he made any child support payments while he was gone. No. I suggested to her to talk to him about getting caught up of whatever he owes and to ask about signing over rights so I could adopt. She said she would talk to him. First part of March our sex life starts to dive. You know where this going, right? But I am oblivious. I mention to wife, she has the usual excuses. I notice little things around the house are different. My favorite snacks are gone. Missing a few beers. Not a big drinker, just one every now and then. But the big one was I could smell what I thought was weed. I asked wife if she was smoking. As we don't, she hasn't. I thought the now 14-year-old was, suggested we talk with him. She says she would handle it. About 2 weeks ago 14 years old asks me if I love mom. I said yes, thinking he has a girlfriend. Time for a talk, right? He says that we always sat together and were touching each other some way or other. This made him feel good. He asks if mom loved his dad. I responded that sure, on some level she does. Why asking? He replies that they are always looking at each other, talking and touching. And he is over all the time. I asked what he meant by all the time. Almost every day when they get home from school he is there then leaves. That weekend I am in the living room. He is over for visitation. He comes in and sits down across from me with a beer. I look up from my reading, and tell him to help himself to a beer. He says nothing. I ask why isn't he with the kids. I could hear laughing coming from the family room. He said he might go in a little bit. I tell him I will not drink in front of the kids. I wait until after they are in bed. He says nothing. He then states, you know I am only here for her. What does that mean? You're talking about my wife. He says technically not divorced, he never signed papers, so she is his wife. I know a judge signed off on divorce because he could not be found. That's why it took longer to divorce. I finally ask about the child support, since I never heard back. He just looked at me and said that he was caught up, paid her $15,000 in cash. WTF. I asked then if she talked to him about giving up rights, never asked. He asked what would it be worth to me. I said you got to be kidding, you would sell your kids. Before he could answer I told him to leave. The next day, this past Sunday, the kids were at Grandma and Grandpa with wife. I bought and installed a camera. I put it on top of the TV. Very small. It has a view of the front door and living room. Motion activated. Nothing unusual until Wednesday about 10 a.m. I get alert on phone when the camera activates. So I am at work, I get a notice. Figure it's the wife cleaning up, I look anyways. He comes back. She lets him in, they kiss, long. He starts grabbing at her, she playfully pushes away. They are laughing, no sound. He sits on the couch, she brings him a beer and snacks. 10 a.m. She disappears. She is back a few minutes later, clothes changed. She is going to school for lunch. They are talking, more grabbing, more pushing away, laughing. A few minutes later she is up getting ready to leave. He gets up, grabs her again, making some gestures, then poses like he is praying, hands together. They sit down again, she gives him head. She finishes up, goes out of range. Comes back, says something, then leave. He then watches TV, he takes a nap. Screen eventually goes blank. A little after 1 p.m. another alert, she is home. They talk, they both leave room. I know they are headed to bedroom. I race home and find them. They never heard me coming. There is the hysterics you would expect. He slithers out. I tell her she has to go. She pleads it was a one-time mistake, he had just got there. She was lonely because we weren't having sex, etc. I called Bees. I asked how often he came over, just the weekends. This was an anomaly. I showed the video of him napping. She said he was tired and asked. Then I showed her the BJ. She had nothing to say. I told her to pack her bags, she is out. I left and called her dad to take them in, we were having issues. He of course take alpha position, telling me how I would screw this up, yada yada. I couldn't get a word in. Finally I stopped him, asked again, he said yes, then started on me again. I had enough. I said I would send him something. I sent the video edited down to BJ. I told him to view and call me back if I was wrong. Never heard back. Talked to lawyer Thursday. He helped with estate plan after first wife. Refereed me to a partner who does family law, will meet Tuesday, divorce will happen. He felt but did not know for sure that I would be on the hook for support for kids. No alimony since she broke our prenup. I made it up before marriage in addition to estate plan to protect my girls. I don't care about the support, glad to do it. It's the boys. So my question or advice needed, has anyone else been through divorce and was able to see their ex's kids even if they are no yours? How did that go? The 14 years old is partially vulnerable as he will be in HS next year, formative years. I don't want to see him go down the tube and turn out like dad. Thanks to all in advance. Top 5 comments. 1. Given the age of the kids, it's likely that they can participate somehow in the divorce and custody conversation and give their own preferences. Some mediations give the kids their own time alone with the decision maker to say their piece. Sounds like the kids are bonded to, so don't lose hope that you'll still be a big part of their lives. 2. I'm so sorry, this sounds awful. I have a feeling that your wife was hiding him for longer than you think. But what kind of trashy family is giving you shit when the daughter is the one that messed up? Unfortunately, you got caught in a situation that had relatively risk from start. May I advise you not to give any money if they are not your kids. She won't utilize it for the boys. She most likely to spend it with that joke of a man. So, what's the situation now? She still begging you? 3. I'm so sorry this has happened to you. I think you should still be able to talk to the kids that you've clearly bonded with. I was about 15 when my mom divorced my stepdad. He was in my life for about 10, and the father of my half-sister, so we were really close. My mom said I was permitted to visit with him since he was my life so long, so he took me to dinner and the movies once a month. We still do this and I'm well into adulthood. I'd suggest in the family law bring up making some sort of agreement with the wife, that you view them as yours and would like to remain a mentor. 4. PFT visitation. I know a couple of men who have custody of their ex's children. It happens. Petition for it. And save those kids. 5. If you want those kids to have money, do not give it in payments to your ex. Her ex will be the main beneficiary of that money. Start a trust fund for them if it's that important to you, or actually purchase the things you want them to have yourself. The father isn't going to care for them. He was only there for her, remember. I'm sure unless she uses them as a power play against you, it wouldn't be hard to continue to see them. After my dad broke up with his girlfriend, me and one of my sisters continued to visit her because she was a very nice lady compared to other GFs he had in the past. If you have made an emotional connection to these kids in any way, they will want to continue that.